Hi, this is Hot Chocolate with Paul with some confessions of a former TV control room technician. I spent many years working in the broadcasting industry. I started in 1975 at a high school radio station, actually a community radio station, WGMC, right here in Greece, which itself has progressed on to bigger and better things since then. Then I worked in a couple commercial radio stations and college radio at SUNY Geneseo. And then I got my first TV job doing vacation summer relief at WHEC Channel 8 in 1982. And I really had to think about that for a second. In August of 1982, I started my long career at WHEC Channel 10 in Rochester. I started out as weekends through my senior year in college, and then I moved on to a full-time job starting in 1983 and stayed there until my position was eliminated in 2014. When my position was eliminated, it was basically a layoff, and per union contract, they could offer me a job 3 times to come back, but I had already moved on to other things, and I was no longer interested in working in broadcasting anymore. So essentially, I've been retired from broadcasting since 2014. So looking back on all those years, a lot has changed in broadcasting, both from a technical point of view with constant improvements and upgrades in technology, and from a business point of view. And from the business point of view, that's really one of the reasons I don't care to work in that business anymore. The technology is amazing. When I started working there, we had to have a full crew to put a TV show on the air, which in our case was usually the local news was the biggest thing that people would be aware of, or the biggest project going on at a TV station. We had other things like the Jerry Lewis Muscular Dystrophy Telethon, for example. That's me on camera for one of the telethons when I was much, much younger. Interview shows. At Channel 10, we do the Sunday Mass recorded during the week and played back on Sunday morning. I worked on many of those through the years. But to put all these shows on the air, you had to have a crew. And our standard crew when I first started working there was 2 people on camera in the studio, 1 person running the teleprompter, and in the control room, you had an audio person, you had a video switcher, you had a Chiron or character generator or font as we used to like to call it. That would be the person who types in people's names that you see at the bottom of the screen, sports scoreboards and things like that. And then we had a director for that. And then just outside of, those were all part of what we call sub-control. And then just outside of sub-control, we had a separate area running videotapes, and it was videotape at the time, even film. By the time I started working there, we didn't make film so much as we were still getting some 16 millimeter films with TV shows and commercials to put on the air. And then a person called the master control operator. And this was a position that I particularly liked the best. I like to call it the DJ of all the TV shows and commercials that you're putting on the air. So that's literally the person that's sitting there playing all the TV commercials and playing all the programs that had to go out over the air while keeping a watch on the transmitter, make sure that it's operating properly and so forth. So with all of this going on, with TV being put out on the air, there were times when we were busy, and there were lengthy times in between assignments when we were not busy. We just had to stand by and be ready to go on the air pretty much at any time with a special news report, and anything could happen, or equipment breakdowns or things like that. So you had to be ready to go at any time. So what kind of things did we do during these breaks between programs and assignments? Well, a lot of sitting around. Back when I first started working there, smoking was not banned, so we had a lounge in the back of the control room, and you could often find people back there smoking cigarettes or pipes, or I believe one guy was even smoking cigars at times. We brought books and magazines to read. Some people even brought their banking stuff and worked on their banking, getting their checkbook balanced and things like that. One thing you have to realize about the broadcasting industry is that since it's a 24-hour-a-day operation, sleeping can be an issue, and it was very much an issue for me for almost all of the years that I worked in the business. I had insomnia a lot. I had shifts where I was working into the evening. I would get home around midnight. I had shifts where I would work overnight. But the one that seemed the most difficult for me was the shifts where I had to get up at 3:30 or 4:30 in the morning. And I was always tired, always. And I know I gained a lot of weight in those days because I just didn't have the motivation to get up and do anything physical. So with the TV schedule being what it was, I had opportunities to take little naps. They didn't really get me the sleep that I needed, but it gave me enough sleep, basically power naps to help me get through the day. So one of the ways that we did this was, or I should say I did this, and I'm not the only one. I will say that much. When the Today Show ran in the morning, it would start at 7 o'clock in the morning and end at 9 o'clock. We had basically 5-minute local news segments that would air at something like 7:25, 7:55, 8:25, and 8:55. And if I was in the studio, for example, if I was working in the studio, I had opportunities to take little short naps there, which I did. And take a look at this. This is our interview set. You can see that those are very comfy chairs. And I got to tell you, they were great for sleeping on, too. During the overnight hours, I would usually try to keep myself going by drinking Coke, which had sugar and caffeine in it. And one interesting thing about me is that if I was working an overnight shift, somewhere around 1:30 in the morning, I would get a craving for Campbell's chicken noodle soup. So that's what I would have around 1:30 in the morning. And one thing I want to emphasize about working overnights and even Saturday and Sunday mornings on the weekends is very often I was the only person in the entire building. I was the only person there working in master control, running the TV shows that had to be on overnight or on Saturday and Sunday mornings. And yes, I used to run Saturday morning cartoons, including shows like Pee-wee's Playhouse. And the shows that I really, really liked running were the cartoons, the old cartoons from the 1940s and 50s, Warner Brothers Looney Tunes. I always loved it when we were running those because I would sit and watch those while I was putting them on the air. On Sunday mornings, I would enjoy running the Sunday morning talk shows coming from the network. That's where they discussed political issues and government issues with two sides, both Democrat and Republican. And to me, that's the only way to run a political interview show like that, because you need to hear both sides of a story to really get the picture of what's going on. The truth is not right or left. It's somewhere in between. So here's something funny that my wife Stacy and I like to laugh about is I believe it was for Christmas of 2006 when staff members were invited to record a holiday greeting to be played back on Channel 10. Watch this. Here's mine.
Happy holidays from News 10 NBC.
The reason we laugh about that is because I had taken a course in American Sign Language earlier that year, and I wanted to do my Christmas greeting in sign language. So I did. The only problem was the shirt that I was wearing. Properly, it should have been a solid color shirt, and because it had this pattern on it, it's hard to see what I'm doing with my hands.
Happy holidays from News 10 NBC.
Now, Stacy and I did not know each other in 2006. We didn't meet until 2017. But when I played that video for her one time, we had a good laugh about it because she actually remembered seeing that on the air on Channel 10, and she thought to herself, what an idiot. So those are a few memories and confessions of some of my days working in the TV business. Like I said, my position was eliminated in 2014. I chose not to be rehired again when they offered me new jobs. So I've essentially been retired since then. And I pretty much have not set foot in a TV station since then. I can tell you that through the years I was there were layoffs, there were staff reductions, which I was a part of. And I know that they have continued since then. And I don't even know what the makeup of a TV station control room is anymore. So I just have not been back. And quite frankly, I don't have much desire to go back. Been there, done that. I've moved on. So that's all for Hot Chocolate with Paul for today. Have a good day.